If you've got a big old beast like this in your basement or your garage or heaven forbid your attic and it's about a decade old, it's very likely you're watching this video because you're trying to figure out what to replace it with. Much better. This is a brand new unit from Rinnai. This is the RE series. Now this unit has a couple of absolute game changer features that I think make it the perfect tankless to replace when you've got that old nasty tank that dies. Today's video is sponsored by Rinnai. Let's get going. All right, y'all, Lloyd from Shamrock Plumbing did a great job on this install for this brand new RE series tankless water heater from Rinnai. Now, here's the deal. This is really, I think, a groundbreaking unit because this is the first unit in the marketplace that's a non-condensing that includes a recirculation pump built into the tankless unit itself. Now, let's break this down a little bit. There's condensing models and there's non-condensing models. For years, Rinnai has made condensing models. That's the ones that are gonna use this kind of pipe right here, PVC, to vent out of the house. And they're the highest efficiency on the marketplace. This is like 95% efficient. This model is a non-condensing. It's roughly 85% efficient, slightly less efficient. And what's happening is it's not condensing that last little bit of BTUs out of the flue gases, and instead it's going to use this kind of vent, a concentric vent that you see here. Now, why does that make a difference for you? And in particular, I'm thinking about houses that are replacing a tank out and putting a tankless in. For me, it's a hassle oftentimes doing on a retrofit or remodel a condensing unit because now I've got to figure out what to do with that condensate. The units that are condensing have a drain line from them that needs to be drained out somewhere. And in this mock-up here, you can see I don't have a drain on the wall. That's the situation that a lot of plumbers, a lot of homeowners, remodelers like me face. So that's what I'm excited about here. This is a non-condensing model, but it's got the pump built in, the first in the marketplace to have that. Now, the pump built in, let's talk about that. That is a really big deal. What's going on here is the circulation pump and all these smart controls that they call Smart Circ is built into this box. Now here's how that works. What happens is this pump that's in here is actually going to circulate the water through your return line. Now if you've got a new construction house or newish construction, you're going to have potentially a dedicated return line back to the unit, and that pump's going to use that to pre-charge those hot lines. Now, no matter what water heater you have, there's a lot of people in America that when they turn on their tap, they've got a really long distance of pipe between the hot water source and where we're actually using that hot water. And for me, like in my old house years ago, I used to think about, gosh, I better start my shower 2 or 3 minutes ahead of time because I want it to get hot before I jump in. On the other hand, a circ pump built in means that I can often have hot water in just a couple of seconds at those fixtures. Now here's how it works. There's two ways, as I mentioned. If you've got a dedicated circ line, you're good to go. If you don't have a dedicated circ line, you want to have your plumber install one of these. This is a thermal bypass valve or a thermal crossover valve, and this is a genius piece of plastic. What happens here is you're going to install this at the furthest fixture from your tankless unit, and your tankless unit then can basically turn your old house into a new house with a circulation line. And here's how this valve works. You're going to put this underneath the sink, let's say if your master is the furthest away, underneath the sink of the master, and you've got the, let's see if I'm saying this right, you've got your hot lines here and your cold lines here going up to the sink. And then this valve right here in the center is the bypass valve. Check this out. If I were to block these two off as if I've got water lines going up, and this valve's at room temperature right now, so meaning the water in the pipe, let's say, is 70 degrees like it is in my shop today. Check this out. Did you hear that? I'm able to blow through there. What happens is when this is room temperature, that valve is naturally open, and it's going to allow the circ pump that's back in the unit here to pump something like maybe 1/2 or 3/4 of a gallon per minute through this check valve, and it's going to dump that water into the cold line. But this is what's cool about it. I've got a coffee cup here filled with some hot water. Let me dump this in here as if the circ pump finally got hot in that location. We're gonna let this sit in here for maybe 30 seconds or so. Do, 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 do. Okay, it's been 30 seconds or so. Let's see what happens. So this is as if this circ pump was circulating hot water through here. Now this valve, I'm gonna block these two off to the fixtures. I can't blow through it. Isn't that cool? It's turned itself off. Once that water in here gets to 100 or so degrees, I don't know the exact temperature of the engineering on this, but it's gonna start closing off this valve, which is pretty genius. This little part can take your old 40s, 50s, 80s built house and basically make a circulation line out of your existing pipes. That's pretty awesome. I like this a lot. Look for that part if you need it. That's gonna make this guy function incredibly well for your clients, and they are gonna be delighted and surprised when all of a sudden they turn on their water and it's getting hot much faster than what they had before. Now here's the deal about Smart Circ. There's a couple things in here that are different than what Rinnai's had in the past. In the past, with some of their circulation pumps, you had an additional component, a Wi-Fi, whatever. This guy's got everything built in, and it's gonna learn your patterns, so that if I take a shower every morning at 6 a.m. before I go to work, this little unit in here, the brain inside, is gonna go, hey, Matt's gonna take a shower, and it's 5:40 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. I'm gonna start moving some hot water through that line so that when Matt gets up in 30 minutes, turns that on, he's good to go, and you're gonna have hot water. And that makes a huge difference in not wasting water, not waiting around and wasting your time. Pretty cool. And the fact that that's all built in and smart, nothing to program, I really like that. Okay, so we talked about a couple big deal benefits for your clients, for those homeowners. Let's talk about a couple of things for you as the builder or the plumber watching this. Let's talk venting. Now you guys are familiar with concentric venting. If you're not familiar, what this is it's two vents in one. This is a sealed combustion unit, and it's gonna bring its own air from the outside through this outside of the pipe. So if you look at this pipe, where I've got two here, the combustion air is coming on the outside right here, and you can see that's PVC. And then on the inside of this pipe, there's aluminum piping, and that's where the combustion gases escape or send out. So everything's sealed combustion. Now here's what I like about this venting. I understand this is pretty exclusive to Rinnai. This is PVC on the outside, which means that there's zero clearance to combustibles. Nerd speak, that means that I can seal it up tight. I can spray foam against it, I can caulk it, I can make sure bugs and air aren't gonna get through, and I really like that. If this was stainless steel, my inspector is gonna want me to keep some clearance to combustibles or some other things that I'm gonna have to do if this is a metal vent going through the house. So with this being PVC, I really like that. That's a big deal. It's also gonna be a little less costly compared to some of the stainless steel options if you've got a long run. Okay, and the last thing I wanna mention about this is a few things that make it easier to install and service. First off, the mounting bracket. Lloyd installed that mounting bracket to the wall, and then he was able to mount the unit on top of the mounting bracket, kind of a French cleat style, right? For builders who are used to hanging cabinets with French cleats. Same kind of idea. And then we can also move the unit around in and out a little bit, get everything ready so that then he can mark his holes, pop that unit off, get his plumbing or his mounting screws or whatever it is in place, or his hole for the venting, and then put it back on and everything's ready to go. That really makes the install much, much easier for the plumber. Next up, the hood. To get underneath the hood on this thing, you've got a couple cover clips right here, and then this hood pops right off, which is kind of a nice feature. But on the inside, they tell me that they've kind of cleaned up everything and made it really easy to service and get to everything. I like that. Serviceability is a big deal, especially because tankless in general is gonna last, maybe twice as long as your tank in terms of service life. So if you're gonna get 20 plus years out of a unit, you want to be able to service it if you ever need to someday. This really has some solid features that I think make this a really top, if not the top choice for a tankless water heater, especially when you're thinking about remodel, retrofit, or replacement. This is a really nice model. And I personally have had a Rinnai at my house for about 16 years now, still going strong. They make a really nice product. They've been around a long time. If you're interested in Rinnai, I'm going to have a link to the website for these guys below. But man, if you've never had tankless before, that luxury of never running out of hot water, it is a game changer, especially for me with teenagers in the house. I'd never have any issues with running out of hot water with a tankless. It's a really big deal. If you're not currently a Build Show subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.